Anthony Joshua faced a suspension from boxing after his knockout loss to Daniel Dubois at Wembley, where the fighter is facing his post-fight phase, while Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn got into a verbal jab over Anthony Joshua's terrible defeat in Dubois' hands.
Just do it to the but if I was doing one today, what's Friday today, right? So it's like, I don't know, off Friday. It's like, hey, welcome to Friday. Because he does his silly voice, doesn't it? It'd go a little bit like this.
This continues the Matchroom curse, meaning if you sign with Matchroom, you're either guaranteed to lose or get injured.
Oscar De La Hoya, in his Clapback Thursday session, commented on Anthony Joshua's recent loss to Daniel Dubois, highlighting the importance of the knockout in the 5th round. De La Hoya also pointed out a larger pattern, noting the effect on Eddie Hearn, who had been struggling against Frank Warren throughout the year.
All right, let's start with last weekend's fight in the UK. Anthony Joshua was knocked out in the 5th round by Dubois. It was actually an amazing fight, an entertaining fight, and I like AJ. However, this was another huge L for Eddie Hearn, who is literally 0-11 to Frank Warren this year.
Oscar De La Hoya pointed out a confrontation Hearn had with Devin Haney in the crowd at Wembley. He claimed that Hearn, despite having all the resources and chances, failed to capitalize on Joshua's potential, leading to a series of setbacks for the British fighter.
To make matters worse, Eddie Hearn faced off with his old buddy Devin Haney in the crowd at Wembley. Eddie, you can't build a fighter to save your life. Anthony Joshua had the world at his fingertips, and you found a way to fumble his career.
Amidst the heat, Eddie Hearn responded to Oscar De La Hoya's comments with a light-hearted yet pointed rebuttal. He referred to De La Hoya as a weird guy and suggested that his rival's public persona didn't align with how he was really feeling. Hearn pointed out that many athletes have moved on, which, in his opinion, signifies the decline of Golden Boy promotions.
Just a weird guy, really, isn't he? But I think we all need weird in our life, you know. I don't like those people that pretend they're so happy, but actually they're burning inside. You know, like silly voice that he puts on. He's lost all his fighters, and I think he's hurting. You know, Canelo's obviously gone. Jaime Munguia pretends that he hasn't gone, but he's gone to top rank. Virgil Ortiz, you know, you saw his crowd against Boca Chica. Ryan Garcia's out for a year. Golden Boy are done, really.
Eddie also mocked Oscar De La Hoya in his own customized Clapback Friday way, where he ridiculed De La Hoya for losing almost all of his fighters.
He'll go, it's the segment of the week where I pretend I'm really happy, but I'm burning inside. Come on, AJ, he's the best build fighter of all time. But Golden Boy, who have you got left? Canelo's gone. He hates you. He sued you. Jaime Munguia, you pretend you represent him. You don't. He's gone to top rank. Virgil Ortiz sold a couple of thousand tickets and Ryan Garcia's banned. And now you're being sued again by Devin Haney. Have a great day.
Eddie Hearn defended his ability to build fighters, especially pointing to Anthony Joshua as one of the most successful examples of his career. He rejected Oscar De La Hoya's earlier criticism, stressing that Joshua, under his guidance, became one of the biggest stars in boxing. He added, "I cannot build a fighter." And then he started talking about AJ. "I was thinking it's probably the best built fighter of our time, the biggest star of the sport." Eddie Hearn continued his remarks by expressing some concern for Oscar De La Hoya while keeping a critical tone. Hearn also hinted at a sense of empathy, hoping that De La Hoya was managing his problems behind the scenes. He added, "He's got a lot of demons, Oscar. I just hope he's okay." Eddie Hearn further critiqued Oscar De La Hoya, acknowledging that De La Hoya was making efforts to revive his brand and image but pointed out the struggles that Golden Boy promotions were facing. He suggested that De La Hoya was putting on a front to cover the difficulties his promotion was experiencing, but despite the rivalry, Hearn expressed concern for De La Hoya's well-being.
Great, Oscar, for doing it, because when you're finished in the game, you have to try and do something to kind of resurrect the brand and the image. So although all of his fighters are leaving him, and they're all publicly saying, "You owe me money," you know, Canelo Alvarez, "You stole my money," Devin Haney, "You owe me money." All these fighters, you never hear a matchroom fighter coming out saying, "Eddie Hearn, you owe me money," or suing me. So Golden Boy are really struggling, and I like what he's doing because he's kind of like trying to put smoke and mirrors, so people don't realise how Golden Boy are. But, you know, he's hurting deep inside, and I just hope he's okay.
Well, now that the promoters are done fighting and dusting it off, the British Boxing Board of Control issued a 28-day suspension, which is standard protocol for fighters who experience a technical knockout or knockout loss. This suspension was in place to ensure Joshua's health and safety following a tough fight. Eddie Hearn reflected on the challenges Anthony Joshua faced during his defeat but highlighted some positive aspects of his performance. While Joshua had a rough start, Hearn admired his resilience and determination, noting how Joshua refused to quit even when things weren't going his way.
It's a difficult defeat, but you know, at this point you have to try and take any positives you can, and it's difficult because the start was disastrous. And the only positives I can take is the unbelievable heart and guts and nuts that he showed.
Hearn believed Joshua showcased his fighting spirit throughout the bout, especially when his legs were shaky. Yet he continued to throw heavy punches and look for a way back into the fight despite the mistakes and difficulties. Hearn mentioned that Joshua came close to turning things around, particularly in the 4th and 5th rounds.
The amount of times I've heard over the years a fighter say, you know, I will rather get knocked out than try and survive or lose on points. I will go out on my shield. He went out on his shield. Even when he didn't have his legs, he was trying to land the right hand and he was trying to find a way back in the fight. And remarkably, as bad as he performed tonight, or as many as mistakes that he made, he still could have won the fight. You know, 4th round he hurt Dubois, 5th round Dubois' legs buckled, and at that point I think this is going to be one of the greatest comebacks I've ever seen. But walked on to a crushing right hand, and unfortunately there was no getting up from the last.
During the match, Joshua was knocked down for times before Dubois delivered the final blow in the 5th round, securing a knockout victory. This defeat marked Joshua's 4th career loss, adding to previous defeats by Andy Ruiz Jr. and Alexander Usyk twice. Joshua's bid to become a 3-time champion and reclaim his spot at the top of the division came to a dramatic and unexpected conclusion. Oladipo questioned Dubois about shifting the pace of the fight after landing a major hit on Joshua Dubois. He confidently responded, "I'm a gladiator, I am a warrior. To the end, I want to reach the top level of this sport and realize my potential." Despite the suspension, it was expected not to impact Joshua's immediate plans, as he had no upcoming fight scheduled and was focusing on recovering and rebuilding his career after the significant setback following his recent knockout loss to Daniel Dubois. Anthony Joshua faces a critical point in his career despite the defeat. Joshua has made it clear that he is not considering retirement. Instead, his focus remains on seeking a rematch with Dubois. Eddie Hearn addressed the financial implications of Anthony Joshua's potential retirement, making it clear that while Joshua generates significant revenue every time he fights, the overall financial impact on their business wouldn't be as substantial as people might expect. Hearn emphasized that Joshua's stature is what makes his event so valuable, but financially, the business would remain strong even without him in the ring.
You know, we make a lot of money, and AJ fighting, you know, obviously every time he fights financially we do well, but compared to the sort of group revenue, and particularly to boxing's entire revenue, it's quite a small portion really, but it's the nature and the stature of the man and the profile of the events. So yeah, I mean, financially it doesn't make a difference to us.
Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn has confirmed that the former two-time world heavyweight champion is determined to return to the ring, with Dubois likely being his next opponent. Joshua's resilience has been a defining trait of his career, and he has previously rebounded from losses such as his victory over Andy Ruiz Jr. in their rematch. Eddie Hearn was discussing Anthony Joshua's future, acknowledged that Joshua's potential retirement would have a significant personal impact both for him and for British fight fans. He emphasized the incredible journey they've been on together and how much Joshua has meant to British boxing. He added, "Personally, makes a big difference to us because it's been an incredible journey, and I think for British fight fans as well, it makes a big difference." Hearn further elaborated on Joshua's career trajectory, assuring fans that Joshua isn't retiring anytime soon. However, Hearn did caution that the next step in Joshua's career would be crucial, suggesting that the decisions made now would heavily influence the remainder of his time in the sport. He continued, "So he's definitely not retiring yet. I think you're going to see him for at least another year, which is 2 to 3 fights. And then we'll see, but you know the next decision is going to be very important." The rematch with Dubois is expected to be a key moment for Joshua, and Hearn has expressed confidence in Joshua's ability to make adjustments and challenge Dubois again. While there is no immediate rematch clause, discussions are ongoing, and it seems likely that Joshua will pursue this bout to regain his standing in the heavyweight division. Dave Coldwell provided an in-depth analysis of the fight, focusing on a pivotal moment when Joshua landed a solid right hand that wobbled Daniel Dubois. Coldwell pointed out that Joshua, in his eagerness to capitalize, rushed forward without thinking about the counterattack. As a result, Joshua got clipped with a shot, and instead of retreating or being more cautious, he attempted an uppercut from the wrong distance. Coldwell emphasized that this mistake left Joshua vulnerable to the knockout punch.
What happened? He catches him with a good right hand, wobbles Dubois, runs onto him, doesn't think about what's coming back, gets clipped with a shot first, doesn't react to that and think, oh, I best be smart here. He still throws this uppercut from the wrong distance.
Coldwell continued by acknowledging Joshua's determination despite the circumstances. He highlighted Joshua's mindset in that moment, explaining that Joshua knew he was losing and decided to take a gamble, hoping to seize an opportunity for Coldwell. This willingness to keep fighting even after taking such a brutal hit demonstrated Joshua's warrior spirit and earned him immense respect.
He went for it. He gambled. He went for it. He thought, I'm losing here. Here's the opportunity. I might not get another opportunity. Go for it. He went for it. Fair play to him. He went out on his shield. He tried. And when he got poleaxed, he still tried to get up. Can't knock him. He still tried. He got hit with a hell of a shot. Walked onto it, and still tried to get up. Got nothing but respect for him for that. Nothing but respect.
Dave Coldwell expressed doubt about the wisdom of an immediate rematch for Anthony Joshua following his defeat. He acknowledged that while Joshua successfully pursued an immediate rematch against Andy Ruiz Jr., the situation with Dubois is different. However, in the fight against Ruiz, Joshua made the critical mistake of walking in without caution after hurting Ruiz. He added, "I don't think an immediate rematch is something that he should go for. I know he did it with Ruiz, but in Andy Ruiz, he had the physical advantages. He made a mistake where he hurts Ruiz and just walks in blindly and gets hit with a shot that changed the whole fight." Dave Coldwell continued his analysis by explaining that Joshua does not have the same physical advantages over Daniel Dubois as he did against Andy Ruiz Jr. Additionally, Coldwell pointed out that Dubois is still young and growing as a fighter, having improved with each fight even after his losses.
His defeats.
With Dubois, he's not got the physical advantages as such. He's not. Is he stronger? No. Does he have the better jab? No. Also we've got to understand that in Dubois is a fighter that just seems to be growing with each fight, growing with each victory. He's even grown from his couple of defeats, but he's growing as a fighter. He's very, very young, and he's got a lot of growth left in him.
Dave Coldwell discussed Anthony Joshua's mindset following his recent defeat, saying that Joshua seemed unfazed by the loss, had no fear about how he was beaten. Coldwell pointed out that if Joshua were to get caught by B's jab early in the fight, it could trigger hesitation or doubts, making an immediate rematch a risky choice for Joshua at this stage. He said he literally has no fear whatsoever of losing, has zero care about the way that he got to be, but I think there might be some demons in there if he goes straight in. And if he gets hit right away with that jab, it'll be like, whoa. So I don't believe an immediate rematch is the best idea at 34. Joshua is fully aware of the risks. Critics have suggested that retirement might be a reasonable option after his recent setbacks, but Joshua has repeatedly stated that he has more to give to the sport. His loss to Dubois, which saw him knocked down multiple times, was a tough one, but Joshua stays focused on redemption. Don Charles, when discussing the chance of a rematch between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, acknowledged the seriousness of the challenge that a rematch would present. He stressed that Joshua remains a formidable fighter despite his recent loss and compared him to a wounded animal, which he described as most dangerous when heard.
Rematch, it's a serious fight. Anthony Joshua is a serious fighter. Yeah, so a wounded animal is it's most dangerous. So if there was a rematch, listen, you got to treat it as round one again.
Don Charles continued by highlighting Anthony Joshua's important contributions to boxing, stating that Joshua has transcended the sport in many ways. He emphasized that Joshua should be celebrated for everything he has done, noting that his effect goes beyond the ring. Charles added that if Josh ever decides to retire, it should be entirely his own choice, not influenced by recent setbacks or outside views. He said Anthony Joshua has surpassed boxing. What he's done for fighting, okay, he should be honored. Yeah, first and foremost, if Anthony chooses. You know what? That's it. I don't want to box. That's his own choice. Charles also questioned why there is talk of Joshua retiring, saying that there is no valid reason for him to step away from the sport. He pointed out that Joshua was simply beaten by a better fighter on the night, and that alone should not be a reason to quit. He added, but no retirement. Why should he retire? He was beaten by the better boxer. Why should he quit after this defeat? Joshua dropped to 7th place in the heavyweight rankings, a notable fall from his previous 3rd place standing. His defeat by Dubois also allowed Dubois to leapfrog him in the rankings, putting Dubois in 2nd behind unified champion Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, who hold the top 2 spots. Alex Kashuk-Alexander Usyk's promoter expressed his surprise and disappointment in Anthony Joshua's performance against Daniel Dubois while he accepted Dubois's youth power and aggression. Kashuk was puzzled by how different Joshua looked compared to his past performances.
Surprised, astonished. I didn't expect that. Well, I did expect, as we know, Daniel Dubois is young. He has the punch, he's aggressive, he has the power. But AJ used to be a different man. Zero defense, zero motivation. I can't even comment on that. I have absolutely no idea. His team behaved not in the right manner, so they jumped into the ring before the count was over after the first knockdown. So the bell didn't ring and they were there like they never heard the rules.
He noticed that Joshua lacked both defense and motivation, which stood in STK contrast to the fighter he wanted once. This absence of offense made it easy for Daniel Dubois to feel comfortable and in control throughout the bout. Kashuk noted, "I couldn't notice anything special because AJ did not perform any offense. I mean, he did not perform any aggression, and he did not look dangerous." For Daniel, Kashuk further elaborated on his disappointment, pointing out that Joshua's lack of offensive pressure allowed Dubois to feel comfortable and in control throughout the fight. Kashuk also criticized Joshua's defensive stance, noting that his right hand was often positioned on his chest, limiting his ability to protect himself or pose a threat to DUIs. He added that for that reason Daniel felt himself pretty cool and relaxed because there was no danger and there was no defense in his opponent. I mean, AJ's right hand was all the time on his chest. Johnny Nelson gave his insights, drawing from personal experience, where he and other fighters were sometimes outperformed during sparring but excelled in real fights. He stressed that sparring is primarily a tool for honing specific skills, such as defense, rather than a reflection of full fighting abilities.
It doesn't mean anything. But many people I spar with got the better of me, and then I box them and knock them out. So it doesn't mean anything, because when you're sparring, you're going. If you're at a certain stage in your career, you're going in there to work on a certain artillery, and you'll neglect something else. You might be working on defense, you'll neglect your offensive work.
Joe Joyce also weighed in on Daniel Dubois's punching power despite not being present for a particular event. He mentioned seeing a clip that highlighted Dubois's strength and noted how dangerous his punches could be. Joyce remarked, "I wasn't there, but I did see a clip of it on someone's phone before D hits hard full stop. Like if you're there to be hit and he falls on you, then you get hit. Yeah, he can hit." Dubois, now in a strong position, is open to a rematch with Joshua with Frank. Warren Dubois's promoter discussing the chance of a February 2025 fight in Riyadh. Dubois White spoke about Anthony Joshua's recent performances and speculated on how Joshua's past success might be affecting his current drive. He stated that although Joshua still has the desire to fight, the spark and intensity that once propelled him to the top of the sport may have dimmed during the fight. White noted that Joshua seemed to be more focused on holding on rather than fighting back aggressively after being hurt.
And then, sometimes it's hard, man. You make a lot of money, he's got a lot of fame. Maybe the desire is not, the desire is still there, but I don't want to say the wrong word, but maybe that spark is not necessarily there as much as because he just seemed to be holding on a lot. He got hurt. He didn't try to really fight back. He was just holding on a lot. So I don't know, man. But if he continues, great. If he retires, great. He's done great things regardless.
Daniel Dubois' father also expressed great pride in his son's performance, reflecting on how much faith he had in Daniel Dubois. Even when many doubted him, despite widespread predictions that Dubois would be knocked out, he remained confident that Daniel Dubois would prove his critics wrong, which he did with his dominant win.
That's why we came out with Daniel in the Lions Den. I'm a great believer. I'm a great believer. I've got a lot of faith. And I knew tonight was Daniel's night.
He was so dominant.
Because everyone was saying he was going to get knocked out. And now they all got quiet and left the venue in 10 seconds.
Amir Khan spoke about the changing dynamics in boxing, accepting the moment when younger fighters step up to take over from established champions. He stressed that this seemed to be Daniel Dubois' moment, referring to him as the young lion who had taken over. Khan wished Anthony Joshua well. KH said there's always a young lion that comes and takes over. I think today was the night for Dubois. The young lion has come and taken over. Our thoughts go to Joshua. I hope he comes back from this strong. Khan went on to stress the unpredictable nature of boxing, noting how a single punch can drastically change the course of a fight. He acknowledged that when Joshua was knocked out, it was a reminder that in boxing anything can happen in an instant, and that's what happened in this fight. He added, but look, at the end of the day, he's a two-time world champion. He's a credit to the sport. One punch can change a night. And that's what happened to him in the later parts of the fight. Joshua managed to land a clean punch in the 5th round, but it only drove Dubois further. A strong counter right hand from Dubois, one that will be remembered by everyone in attendance, sent Joshua to the canvas for the final fin time. Despite his efforts to rise, Joshua couldn't beat the count, and his lack of defense added to a decisive defeat. Amir Khan further stated his belief that Anthony Joshua still has the potential to come back stronger from his recent loss. However, Khan stressed that the decision to return would ultimately depend on Joshua's own desire and motivation. Khan questioned whether Joshua still has the hunger to face another tough fight and be in the trenches again, especially at this point in his career.
I think so, I think he's still got it in him to come back stronger from this. But like I said, it just depends how much, he'll only know that himself, how much does he want this for. Look, but he made money, you won the title, what is there left there? I mean, if he called it a day tomorrow, no one's going to disrespect him. Yeah. But look, has he still got that hunger in him to come back and have another big fight like this? Does he really want to be in the trenches at this age?
Simon Jordan emphasized that Anthony Joshua has always possessed the physical attributes needed to dominate inside the ring. However, Jordan pointed out that Joshua's real challenge isn't physical. It's his mental approach and how prepared he is to handle high-pressure moments during a fight. Reflecting on Joshua's recent bouts, Joshua noticed that while those efforts were solid, they didn't truly push Joshua to his limits or force him into situations where his mental resilience was fully tested.
I don't think it's ever been an issue with Anthony Joshua physically. I never felt that Anthony Joshua wasn't physically capable of knocking people out. I thought he was mentally concerned about what was happening to him. So when I see him fight Franklin, and when I saw him fight Hellenius, and when I saw him fight Wallim, I felt to myself, these are decent fights, but none of these fighters have really stuck it on him, and none have really taken him into the red zone.
Jeff Mayweather reflected on his initial view of Anthony Joshua as the favorite in his fight, but explained how his perception shifted after hearing what Joshua said prior to the knockout. Mayweather's confidence in Joshua changed. He implied that Joshua's comments had a negative impact, making him doubt Joshua's mindset, especially when Joshua was knocked out. Shortly after, Mayweather remarked, "I had Joshua a favorite, but after seeing what Joshua said, it kind of turned me against him right immediately when he said what he said, and then he got knocked out right after that." Lennox Lewis provided his analysis of Anthony Joshua's tactics during the fight and identified a critical flaw that contributed to Joshua's defeat. He observed that Joshua entered the fight with his chin up, which is a dangerous posture, particularly against a powerful, right-handed puncher like Daniel Dubois. This vulnerable position made it easier for Dubois to land his shots, ultimately played a significant role in Joshua's loss.
There's a lot we can see about the fight that happened. AJ did come out even with his chin up a little bit, and I was like, oh, I need to put that chin down, because against a right-handed boxer where he's been throwing right hands, knocking out people all the time, that's just you're opening the door for him by keeping your chin up. So I know Daniel Dubois was looking at him and saying, okay, there's that chin for me. That'll do. Let me throw that right hand.
Lennox Lewis praised Daniel Dubois for achieving his dream of becoming a world winner. After his win, he highlighted how Dubois had envisioned this moment for a long time, and through hard work he managed to turn that dream into a reality. Lewis said he's thrilled. He's been thinking about this moment for a long time. He said he's dreamt about being a world winner. Well, you dreamt it into reality. You did the work, and now you're a world winner. Anthony Joshua's future hangs in the balance, and the next steps will define his reputation. Do you think he has what it takes to come back stronger? Share your ideas below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.